Hey everyone, I'm Adam Frimmer from DIYPhotography.net, and today we're on a rooftop. We came here today to explore advanced gimbal techniques, and we have the talented dancer Danielle Steven and master gimbal operator Oleg Balzanov. They're going to help teach you some clever tricks to help you up your gimbal game. If you're shooting any types of videos that are not on a tripod, there's a good chance you've probably used a gimbal. And there's probably a really good reason for that. Up until just a few years ago, if you wanted to get a shot like this, you would need super expensive equipment and a staff to operate it all. Today, under $1,000 gets you the best in gimbal technology, and you can basically stabilize any pro camera, within reason of course. But these gimbals are getting so good, and every year the capacity gets better, the runtime gets longer, and the payload gets heavier. Gimbals are here to stay, so you definitely want to stick around and learn a couple of these tricks. For today's tutorial, we'll be using 3 pieces of kit: a Manfrotto 460 gimbal, a dedicated remote control, and a monopod style accessory aptly called the Gimbal. Using a gimbal with an extending arm and a remote control provide plenty of creative options. So without further ado, here are my top 12 tips for upping your gimbal game. More is more. You know how when you see a video shot on a phone, you immediately recognize the phoneness of it? This is partially because almost all phones use a wide-angle lens and an infinite depth of field. If you're going for a cinematic look, try taking a break from those wide-angle lenses. Use a long lens to get the separation between your subject and your background, and you'll immediately start to see the cinematic look. It's true that those lenses can be heavier and harder to master, but they'll reward you with a super cinematic look. Longer lenses are also great in creating parallax. Parallax is that effect that you get when you really feel the shift in planes in a shot. It really gives you a sense of where everything is and adds a layer of depth to your shot. Take it easy. It's tempting to set the gimbal sensitivity to high. You get a fast response and it feels great. But there is a price to pay. You pay in jitter. Using a lower sensitivity means the gimbal will react less to your movement. So while you might have to work a little bit harder to get those bigger movements, your smaller mistakes won't show up on the gimbal, making it feel less robotic. Walk backwards. Walking backwards has been an open secret of camera operators since the beginning of time, and there's a reason for that. These 2 shots will illustrate exactly why. When you walk backwards, you get to keep your eyes fixed on the subject. It's also easier to bend your knees slightly when walking backwards, and bent knees usually means less bounciness. And in this shot, it's easier to frame the subject right when you're close to it. Going the other way will force you to move in a very careful way to center your subject. Obviously, it's not always possible, but when it works, it's like magic. Keep her close. Gimbals today are pretty light, and the Manfrotto 460 is no different. It's just about 1.5 kilos, which is totally manageable, but adding a camera and a lens, you're going to be looking at close to 3 kilos. Keeping the gimbal close to you reduces the effort you need to make to carry that load. And as a bonus, you get another degree of freedom by moving your elbows and less rigidity in your movement. If you have a problem with Z-bounce, this tip should help you reduce it significantly. Monopods and cranes. Hollywood really loves using jibs. And if you're going for high production value, you should probably consider one. The crane, aka the jib, is basically just a camera at the end of a pole, and it has some weights and other mechanics, but if you have a gimbal and a monopod, you can do pretty similar shots. Think about going from something extremely low to something very high. For this shot, we'll be using the Manfrotto Gimbal, which is like a monopod, but it opens really fast, and you can connect a gimbal remote to the other end of it. Drone shots. Another thing you can do with monopods is getting drone-like shots. Heck, using the remote, you can set up your camera to get a drone-like shot from a high vantage point that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. Low-angle shots. Low-angle shots can tell a powerful story. This isn't an angle that humans are used to seeing, and it can really create a unique point of view. It almost feels like the story is being told from a position of peeking or maybe a weak person. That said, shooting at low angles is hard, and especially hard on your back. You can use a top handle, but even then, you kind of have to squat. This is where a long stick can really be helpful. When you hold the gimbal from this height, you have a better stability and peripheral vision, and because it's not as straining on your back, you can hold the gimbal for longer and in some cases even lower. Lock and load. While we're on the subject of connecting gimbals to things, here's a nice trick when you need to connect the gimbal to a tripod, or anything really. When you set the gimbal to L, it stops turning, so it's much easier to screw things into it when it's upright. So instead of lifting the monopod and whatever you're trying to screw into it, you can simply turn the handle and then screw it in. When you're done, revert to your mode of choice, and that's it. More axis equals more cinematic. As you get more comfortable using your gimbal, try and use as many axes as you can. This can really drive a shot. If you can tilt, pan, and track in the same shot, you'll create parallax on every axis. And this will feel much more immersive. Let's take a look at an example. We'll try doing the same shot 3 times, and each time we'll add another degree of movement. So we'll start with just tracking. Okay, nice. Let's see with a pan and a track together. Okay, it's obviously better. Now let's add the tilt axis. Suddenly, the frame comes to life. You get more information about the surroundings, and you also get to reveal and hide parts of the frames as you see fit. Adding an axis will give you a chance to tell a better story. Take it slow. Have you ever been filming someone walking, and then you're walking exactly at their pace, and then you suddenly need to tell them to slow down? I have a tendency to get carried away sometimes with a shot. I'll get really into it and I'll want to follow something moving really fast. But I always remind myself that if I go slower, I'll give myself more time to frame up better, and it'll help me predict my framing even more. Try resisting the urge to get close and move quickly. Let the subject do their thing and observe them from a little distance. This will increase your margin of error, and it'll also let your subject guide your frame and not your path. Torso works best. This has to be one of the most common mistakes I see with people when they're trying to handle their gimbals. And if you go back to our tip about holding the gimbal closer to you, it'll really click in. When you want to turn a gimbal, don't try and force a movement from your gimbal, or just by rotating your hands. Instead, glide and guide the turn of the gimbal by repositioning yourself. It will give you much smoother movements, and it'll feel a lot less robotic. The lateral shot. Sometimes you want to get a top-down shot that reveals something. It goes from the obvious to the story point. If you have a monopod available, you can combine the tips about moving with your torso and using a pull to create a great lateral shot. Start and stop. If you ever shot stills, you'd be familiar with our last tip. Don't spray and pray. I'm going to share with you the basis of gimbal work. You know how it looks like gimbal operators move around and create some great clips? So, not really. They plan the start and the end of the frames, and they move between them. So just like with any moving shot, make sure you have a strong starting position and a strong ending position. Then you can move between them. So that's all we have for you today. A huge thanks to Manfrotto for sending us the gimbal. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did like this video, make sure to mash that like button and consider subscribing to our channel for some more awesome news and reviews. For now, I'm Adam Frimmer from DIYPhotography.net, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Yeah.